All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for taking the time out to participate in this webinar on sales and leads in order time. My name is Tim Grant. I'm with Business Solution Providers. We're an inventory and manufacturing software implementation company, and order time is one of the great products that we work with. We also are QuickBooks solution providers, so we are partnered with Intuit. We also sell and advise on all of the QuickBooks products from desktop to online, and we partner with OrderTime to sell that as a bundle. So we're very involved in the inventory and accounting world and the softwares and helping it using these tools to grow your business. So today, what I'm going to focus on is the lead generation, what we really call opportunity to order process, which involves generating the information on the leads that you have, prospective customers, getting it into the system, and then what do we do with that information once we have it in there, and all the processes through to a sales order. So before we get into the actual presentation of the steps in order time, we're also going to cover some of the setup procedures that the management might want to take care of ahead of time, or work with your salespeople to get them set up to make your workflow processes a little easier. So we're going to cover those settings first, and then the bulk of it is just going to be for our sales reps. The workflow processes are simply gathering information on your leads, and that can be quite a bit of information, not just the products that they need, but maybe other information that we need for shipping information and contacts and all this kind of information. Gathering that information, entering those leads into order time, turning that information then into a quote for our customers, and eventually turning it into a sales order so that we can start the process of fulfillment in order time. We're going to, the next step would normally be creating the ship documents. We're going to stop at that point because we only want to cover the sales information today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my order time. And so first, like I said, we want to set up the settings correctly depending upon how we work. So we do that by going to our gear icon at the top. And I'm going to cover a couple of sections that you can do. First, I'm going to go over here under Admin and General to our profile lists, and then under Sales. And there's three that I want to cover. That's the lead statuses, the sales reps, and the price levels. Okay, so the first one is lead statuses. So I went here and I created a few just for our demo today, because as a I have to sell for my company as well, and there's customers approach me, and it might be a warm lead, it might be a hot lead, it might be, I don't know if they're going to really interested or right fit for my product. So what I did was I created a couple of statuses, or think of these as stages in the process that I can use and then track overall my leads. So I've created on hold, contacted, submitted proposal, not contacted, proposal submitted, waiting to close. And if I wanted to just create one where, turned into customer. So maybe I completed it and we won the project. I can add that as well. It's really that simple. And I'll show you how we use those in a minute. So I'm going to go back to my profile lists. I'm going to add sales reps, again here under the sales section. And here, the sales reps must be an existing vendor, employee, or other name. So you just use the drop down, you identify from the names that you've already generated on those other lists and turn that into a sales rep. In this case, I turned Spartan into a sales rep over here. Okay. The next one I want to talk about is price levels, again under sales. So here we can set up any types of sales, price levels, and then assign them to customers. I encourage you to spend some time going through here. There's different types and different ways to set up those sales prices. I won't be covering those in this webinar because of time constraints, but it is worth checking out. And then one that doesn't appear on the profile list under sales here in my edition that I also just wanted to mention in terms of structure is customer types. If you're using the desktop version of QuickBooks, you will see the opportunity, it'll be here at the top, a link for the customer types, and you can set those up. Usually I've seen clients set them up like wholesalers or retails, or geographic. However, it's totally up to you how you want to set up those types, because then you can run reports from those. It doesn't appear on mine because I'm using QuickBooks Online, and this is kind of just a little thing about QuickBooks and their permission levels. They don't allow third-party vendors to create those customer types and import them into QBO. However, what you can do is create them in QBO, and then they will transfer over to the appropriate field in MRP Easy. So you still have access to them, just not directly from order time. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few more settings. I'm going to go to admin here at the top, and I'm going to go to doc status. So this is a really clever tool that you can use for adding steps that show up in the transactions that the people are using to process, depending on the transaction that they're using. So if you've never used this before, on the left-hand side is where you would select the transaction type that you want to modify. And then in the center here are the steps that you would have. So normally we would be processing, we've presented an order, and then we've either won or lost that order. But let's say that I wanted to add another step in the process. Let's call this contact attempted. Okay. Now, you are limited to the types that order time hardwires into the software, but these are just the different types, so the types will then get grouped together. So if I then save this, okay, and click it here. So you see now my contact attempted has been added, so it'll show up when I'm in the quote. I have another step here that I can list as to which status it's in, and I can move these around. I just grab the three little bars here and I can move those around, and then those are reflected in my transactions. So just another way that you can add little steps in between. So another setting I wanted to show you are the alerts. And if you've never used alerts, you really should, because they are very helpful. Systems today are not just your simple, I go to this transaction, I complete this transaction, then I have to think about the next thing to do. Alerts can be triggers. You can have one action where something gets completed and then it triggers another action that has to happen. Or you need, in this case, an alert sent to someone to identify what the next action should be. So when I come here to alerts, I can create a new alert over here, and I can give it a name, any other information that I want to, but the meat of it is over here. So I can take and I can say it's a quote, and I want this action to run right after a change in status. And maybe my change in status is I'm now processing, whatever it is. And then what do you want to happen? So I want a task created. I want to attach this to either a specific user or maybe a sales rep or maybe even a group of reps, depending on whatever it is I want to do. And then assign specifically who is in that group or individual. And then when that action happens, when it becomes goes to processing from contacted, say maybe a manager wants to know because he or she is tracking, the performance of the workers, who's doing this, the sales reps. So it's just another tool in the process that you can use to, help your workflow a little better. You can get kind of creative about how you want to use these things. And then finally, a couple others that I wanted to show you that Michael is going to elaborate more on the end is, again, back to our admin. Okay, and under our settings, we have our email templates. So you can set up specific templates for sending out as an email as you complete certain transactions. Like I've created one here. I've created a email proposal, and I've gone in here and to steal a little Michael's thunder, what I've done is this is basically just a template here. And what I can do is edit these, and you see there's little merge fields here for names and that kind of thing. And I can go in and I can edit these if I want to move the fields around a little bit and say this. So I can design how I want my template to look, and then I can choose that template when I go to do or finish my quote. The other one I wanted to show you is our custom fields. And custom fields apply across almost every transaction. So you can take any, transaction type and then add custom fields that you want to show on it. So again, here it takes a little creativity. It's designed specifically for, your business. You come up with how you want those custom fields to be entered. And then allow the sales reps to fill those in to gather any more information that you want about your customers. Okay. So after we've gathered all that information, we're going to now create the lead. So we're going to go up here to create new, and we're going to create a new lead. Hopefully it's getting a little slow there. Okay. And let's say our customer is Mac McDonald. Company is Ace Plumbing. Okay. So you remember those lead statuses that I set earlier? I can set those here. I haven't contacted Jack yet, but I got his information from somewhere. I can also, I forgot to mention, you can also import under those settings, and leads are one of the ways that you can get this information as well. I'm just manually entering it, but you can just take a simple CSV file. If you get a group of leads and you want to put them in and just import them, you can avoid having to do all this. Okay. And then, it's just from there, it's just filling in the general information on the company. Street address, all that information. Obviously, you don't want to leave out an email address. And fill it in as appropriate for the address information. The defaults are basically your categorized information that we need. I don't have any types set up here, but things like shipping methods, we would have to set all these up in the settings. Terms, set those. Here's where you set the sales rep that I was talking about a minute ago, and any of the further information that you need regarding this particular lead. There's a section for notes so that you can record everything that's going on here. There's also an activity log, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then we have customized fields, or custom fields. So Michael will be talking about that in just a moment. So once you have just all the basic information in there, you save it. Sorry, computer's going a little bit slow. And then it'll bring up this window so that you can actually start entering your quote information. So if we need to add any addresses, typically you might have a shipping, beyond the shipping address, it might be another field address that you need to add. You click over here on the right and give it a name and add that information as well. The meat of the quote is going to be here under the quotes field. So this is where we're going to generate our new quote from. Click the green button over on the right. This takes us to a new screen. And then now here's where we can add all of the quote information. This is the general information again. Any internal or external, so the memo is external, internal notes that we need to add. This is where the product is coming from. So let's say it's coming from Littleton. If we have any contacts that we set up, we can adjust them here as well. And our custom fields, again, it brings over all of the information. And I'm going to now get into the quote. So some things I need to cover here so that we have a base of understanding about how the whole reason why we have quotes versus, say, a sales order. So a quote is a document that a seller provides to a buyer that offers goods or services at a standard price under specified conditions. Quotes are documents that are used to let a potential buyer know how much your goods or services will cost before they commit to a purchase. So to create a quote, what we do is we create from the drop down, we create a quote. So you could also, I went through the lead myself, but you could go directly here if you already have the information for the lead set up. So you can just select here and quote, and it'll take you to the same place. A quote is basically identical to a sales order. It's just that you have to understand functionally the two forms serve two very different purposes. The sales quote is used when the customer is merely inquiring about a price, inventory, that kind of thing, terms, and have yet to commit to the purchasing. Whereas a sales order is used when the customer has actually agreed to the purchase and we can start the fulfillment process on those. So once we've created the quote, then we can fill in the information as to what items that the client is purchasing. So here under items, we look for our items, and I'm going to sell this customer a super widget that happens to do everything. The price is $5,000. If there was a price level associated with this customer, it would automatically fill in, or we can choose which sales price to apply. Whoops. So then our items are going to show up here. Okay, we can add or summarize any of the data is done here. It brings over those memos and internal notes that we need for this sale. Custom fields is required. Nice thing is that we can have attachments. So if we want to attach perhaps a customer's purchase order or an email that specifies what it is they're looking for, we can do it on this field. One of the features you may or may not have used in order time is called activities. And this is where we can schedule things to show up on our calendar for things that we need to include or tasks that we need to add. So from the open activities field, we can add an event. Say we're going to have a meeting next Thursday, and we want this to be sent to our contact. Give it a subject and save it, and then this way it's going to get added to our calendar, and I'll show that to you in a second. There's also a way to add a task. So this is like a follow-up. It can be a call, it can be a simple task, email, whatever we want to add, And then it'll track this under our reminders that we've done this task. So, it's a good way to let things so they don't fall through the cracks in the processing of the orders. And then over on the activity history, here's where we can send out our emails, as well as having a log of all of the activities that have gone on so far, related to this customer. So the send email, and I'll just touch on that just briefly. This is where we would send that email that I was referring about previously. And then here is where the templates, come into play. So that custom email template that I had set up, it's now going to be attached here. And you see here it's this particular customer. I didn't have the name attached, but it would fill in all of the information, as well as automatically attach the quote that's going to go with it. So you can see everything is kind of in one place. Over here is those statuses that I was talking about. So you see, if we start with the contact attempted, and then it goes through the different stages, the processing, and these we can change manually. The closed one changes automatically when this quote is turned into a sales order. So once you've completed and added all of the items for your quote, you can create the PDF for it. And I apologize, I didn't have any time to make this into a beautiful looking quote, but it would then show up here, and we could send off the email from here. Did I lose my item or not save it? Oh, I guess I didn't save it. Apologize for that. That's where the item goes in. And then when I create my PDF, it will show up on here. So pretty easy process, once you really, all the buildup is about the settings, setting up the workflow, doing the due diligence about getting all of the lead information that you want to gather, getting that lead information in, and then producing the quote. So the one thing I didn't really cover that much was adding more contact or customer information. You can also do that from the create new button here as well. I would suggest you create the customer first as part of your process. A lead is really a customer that just hasn't purchased from us yet. Right? It's really just a relationship building kind of sequence. So you could always just create your customer as well. But you can also, once you turn that quote into a sales order, that becomes a regular customer according to the system. Okay. So if I take one of my existing quotes here, I apologize, it is going a little slow today. And I edit my quote now. Okay. And we'll save that. So I can,
hold on, I think you got to switch the status to convert it to a sales order.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I knew I was missing something. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Yes, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now the button comes up to be able to convert it over to a sales order. So once the lead has given you authorization to, yes, the sales quote looks great, we're gonna go ahead and buy. Now is the time that you can take this and convert it into a sales order. Can give you a little warning there just to make sure that you're ready, and you say okay. So you see it turns it into a sales order directly from our quote, which we can also go back to if we need to with any questions. But then from here, it's the same basic sales process of fulfillment, building assemblies if we need to, or pulling from stock, and completion of the sales order. Same thing. It's just processing, and when it's approved and it moves on to the completion process, it gets fulfilled, and then the sales order gets closed. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything in the presentation. I did want to make sure I cover everything. Yeah, I think that's really about it.
Now it's my turn.
Yeah, Michael. I'm going to give it to Michael. Who's going to deep dive on those custom fields and the email templates. I hope you got something out of this, my rambling here, a little bit on the lead and sales process completion. There's really so much to go into. I really wish I could have easily filled up twice as much time with all the details of what you can go into. I encourage you to check out every tab within the transactions of the leads and the quotes and the sales orders to see everything that you can do, because order time does have a robust way of being able to allow you so many options of managing your workflows, controlling the information that goes in and the reporting that you can get out of it. Oh, and I did remember one other thing I just wanted to show real quick before I log off here, is that under the sales tab from your main screen, if you go over here to the right, you'll see a search leads. You could also do sales orders, but as you're putting in those sales orders, you'll have a list of all of the ones that you want to look at and keep track of. And you see here, this is where that lead status that's so important comes in. You can also click the settings here, and then you can determine which fields you can add, those fields that you want to see, right? So you can add whatever fields that you want it displayed, and that gives you, especially if you're the sales manager, an overview of where things stand for your company. So I'll wrap it up. Thank you very much. I'll let Michael take it away.
All right,
Thanks.
I want to show you guys how to do some custom fields and a little bit about the email template. So stick around for that. Just hit the stop presenting in the bottom right, Tim, and then I'm gonna, or maybe I can just
then
steal
it disappeared, didn't it? I think you can do it. Yeah. You had me hide it, so I don't know where it went.
All right, I'm taking over the presentation now.
Okay, good.
Okay, can you see my screen, Tim? Tim, you see it?
Yes, now I do. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, so I wanted to show you guys basically when you go to the full list and you go down to leads. Hold on, I'm going to mute you, Tim. I don't want to hear you. There we go.
All right.
There we go. When you go to full list and you go to leads, and I'm going to pull up a sample lead that I made named John Harmon. Right here, this screen is considered the details screen for a lead. And then when you go to edit, this is considered the editor. And this is going to become very important in a second. Also, from what Tim was showing you, if you're on a lead, you can convert them straight to a customer using this button. Even if they haven't done a sales order yet, if you just want to convert them immediately, you can use that. So let's say there's some information that I want up front here in the general section. I want the website of my customer. And as you can see, it's not currently showing here. It's not in the editor either to be entered. You can actually go to the admin section, and then you go to, wait a second, and then you go to page layouts, and you're going to be looking for the record type that is just lead. So there's two of them. There's lead editor and lead details. Now it's going to have to be in the editor so that I can actually enter the information, and it's going to have to be in the details so that I can see it on the details page. So I'm going to have to do it twice. So I go to the lead editor, And these are all the fields that are currently shown when I'm in the edit section on a lead. Website is actually a default field, but it's not there by default. So it's already here. You don't have to make a custom field that says website, but you do have to go and grab it down here at the bottom left. You're going to have to drag it. And now, depending on where you want it, like I want it down here under email, I'm just going to drop it and bam, it's there. If I want to move it, I can actually click and drag on this, move it over here, move it to the bottom over here. Oh, primary. Wait, why does it not let me do that? Give me access. Hold on. Maybe I have to. If you click right here in the row that it's in, and you click X, you can actually remove it. That's how you would remove a field. There we go. Okay, so I can't drag from place to place. I actually have to like exit, like remove it, and then go down here and drag it again. Maybe we can get a quality of life improvement by doing that as a feature request to change that. But either way, now that it's down here under email, I hit save. I go back to my John Harmon lead. I hit edit, and boom, it's down here. And I can enter, you know, his website and hit save. So now this is information that's, oh, okay. Give me a hard time, why don't you? There. Now that's saved information under John Harmon that you can only see when you hit edit because it's under the editor. So we're going to actually have to go back to the cog, go here to page layouts, find lead details right here, hit edit on it, and then we're going to want to go and find website again. And this long column has a bunch of things that you can add over here. And I can drag website up into any section. So where would I want it? I'd probably want it in the same place under email in general. So I just drag it there. But this is the same thing. You can click on any one of these and remove them, drag them to different places, and you can actually also drag them into custom tabs. So like the custom tab, there's already a custom field sitting here, but I can pretty much, you know, add anything under that custom tab. So if I wanted to make like a big list of information that's not shown up in these top 4 boxes, I can actually just drag it into custom, and then I hit save. Fantastic. I go back to John Harmon, and here's my sample.com right here. So now that's displayed information. You can edit it in the editor, and anything that's helpful for you that you need to see up here, you can just drag it into place. Now, some of you might not have the permissions to do this, so whoever's like the admin is probably going to have to either help you with it, or you're going to have to show them. I'll provide like a link to documentation on how to do it in the follow-up email, so look out for that. Now with a custom field, I go to the cog, I go to custom fields. The special thing to note right here is that leads are essentially customers that haven't converted yet. So any custom field that you want to put on that lead screen, you're just going to do in customers. So under customers, I'd add a custom field. And what's one that you'd want under a lead? Most recent call. And you can make it a required field. And this means that if they're in that editor and they're saving on John Harmon, if they don't have something in this field, it's going to ping them and say, you can't save until you fill in this field. It's required. And I don't need to have this one required. But, and the type kind of auto-picked. But under here, you can see the types are text. So you can just make a generic field where they just enter in whatever they want. Like if it's text, you can even pick the length of characters. So you can really limit the field so that it doesn't go over. A yes, no, which would be like a checkbox. You can have all types of stuff. But for the purpose of this, it's got to be a date. I want to see what the date of the most recent call that the sales rep has done. So I save this, and it's called most recent call. And I go back to the cog. I go back to the page layouts. I find the lead editor. And I clicked on the wrong one. There we go. So I find the lead editor, and oh, there it is right here. You can see that it hasn't been used yet. The ones that are in red are already somewhere on one of these tabs. The ones that aren't red haven't been used. They're not displayed anywhere. So here's most recent call. And let's say, where do I want this? I'm going to put this under the lead status. So I'm going to drag it up here, most recent call, save, go back to page layouts. I'm going to go to the lead details now because I don't want to go back and forth. So lead details, and I got to find most recent call. Here it is. And I want most recent call to show up under the sales rep over here. So drop that in, hit save on that. And so when I go to John Harmon, I'm going to see his most recent call is nothing. So I got to go hit edit here. I got to put in most recent call was today. Save. And now most recent call was today. So that's kind of an example of a custom field that you can throw in there. I'm sure you guys can think of plenty of other ones that you want to throw in there. But really, sky's the limit with customizations. You can drag everything to everywhere. And if you mess it up, you can actually, on the page layout, if we go back to this lead editor, if you completely mess up, you can revert to default. So this revert to default is going to change it all back to the default form. So use it with caution. But if you mess up and there's things just completely missing, you can hit up support or revert it straight back to default. So that's for custom fields in general, just moving them around. The next thing I want to show you real quickly, because I'm running short on time, is the email templates. Now, I was making a custom quote email template. Yeah. So Tim briefly showed you, about the tokens and everything like that. But there's a special way to get them onto the template. So I'm sitting here, it says dear name. The way we got that is we look at the record type. So the record type for this is the quote. So any information that's entered on the quote or any information that's entered on the lead, we can access it via a token. So just like how I was showing you the lead editor, every one of those fields has its own token. So if you want to put anything from any one of those fields into an email template, you could go to the lead record type. You look for the property. It could even include, look, most recent call. Most recent call is already there now. It's a custom field. And it just looks like this because it's custom field number 2 under the customer list. But the cool thing is you don't have to copy and paste this. You click and drag. I drag it to somewhere on here. Boom. That's my most recent call. It's going to autofill these values. And if you want to format extremely pretty emails and you know a little bit of HTML, you can actually convert this to HTML and use the editor, change it, to bold or whatever, and check the code here. Now, if you do an HTML email, make sure you leave this checked and then hit save. If you convert back to text, it's going to look weird because the HTML code's still going to be there. So make sure you don't do that. And if you screw it up by making it bold like I just did, you might want to remove that tag before going back to the rest of the demonstration. Okay. And so let me hit save on this. I've got my weird custom field in the wrong place, but that's fine. I'm going to go back to John Harmon, and I'm going to go make him a new quote. Quote number 134. That's cool. Hit save. I'm going to give him an item. Add tray. $60 tray. Okay, cool. And then we can go back to activity history and we can send the email from here. Right here's my template, and it's like our quote email, and it's going to auto-populate magically. So here's quote number 134. to expand this, you can always grab this anchor, by the way. Another cool tip. So it auto-filled the price, confirmed the promise date. It threw in the location because that was another token I had dragged in. And the most recent call is not there. I'm wondering if that's because this is inside of a quote. Maybe you would have to make, if it's a custom field like that, maybe you'd have to make the custom field under the quote as well. If you want it into a email template, I'm gonna have to do some discovery on that, but I'll get back to you, and on the follow-up email I'll show you guys if there's any difference to that. Now this is going to send an email and not necessarily immediately attach the PDF because I haven't created a PDF yet. I suggest that if you are sending an email and you've got your template all, you know, made up real nice to how you like it, go to create a PDF, hit quote, and then do your email from here. Save and email. Like, make sure you check out how the PDF looks to make sure it's not screwed up, and then hit save and email, and then go and put in your quote template. And as you can see here, it's already attached as a PDF, 100 KB, and you just hit send. And it's going to send to the email address that's on file. Make sure that the email and the CCs and everything are correct before you send. You get a little, you know, activity log of the email that you've done. And then the email goes through and it has the attached PDF. So hope that was helpful for you guys. If you need any other guides on the token system or the email templates, my follow-up email is going to have a ton of links to different KB articles that show each factor of what I was going over. And then this video is being recorded, so you can always go back if I was going too fast and check it out. Let me see if we got any questions. Steve has a question about reminders. I personally don't use them. Outlook, blah, blah, blah. 50 that he's having is that the reminder takes over the page and refreshes. Usually you can dismiss the reminder when it comes to it kind of taking over the page, but I will test it out and I'll get back to you about it. I think it refreshes from, or maybe pops up each tab. He has to clear from each tab. Now that's possible. If he dismisses on one tab and then he refreshes on the others, it should go away though. But I will test it. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Steve. And as always, if you guys need help with, hold on one second. Sure I got the right thing. If you guys need help with any consultation, you want Tim's help, go to our website, click on QuickBooks plus order time, and fill out this form. Even if you aren't looking for like additional seats on your QuickBooks, or if you don't need any changes to your accounting, but you just want some business consultation, fill this out. I'll contact you and I'll get you in contact with Tim so that he can help you out. Plus, we got cool deals on QuickBooks. If you're thinking about switching over to QBO or anything like that, we got 50% off and a bunch of offers because now we're QuickBooks solution providers. So I just wanted to throw that in there at the end as an addendum because Tim was our presenter today.
Thanks, Michael. Yes. Yeah,
and I'll throw Tim's information into the follow-up email as well, so that you guys can reach out to him personally if you have any questions about your business processes and stuff like that. But other than that, have a good day, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Yeah.
We got
enjoyed sharing this information. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Have a good one. Bye.